Game on. It's game on. We are big on sports. Big on sports.
Yes, indeed, a very good afternoon and warm welcome to GameOn. And tell you what, it's a fun Friday. For the next 1 hour, we shall run through some of the biggest stories when it comes to the world of sports. My name is Brian Asimo, but tell you what, on the show, we've got a special guest. He happens to be the Secretary General from the National Council of Sports. It's Dr. Patrick Bernard Ogwel, and he'll be joining us. We shall be talking extensively football. We shall be talking sports in general as well. And he'll be here to speak on so many different key issues that have been affecting sports. It's nearly a year ever since he took office, and we shall try and reflect on all that and so much more when it comes to the National Council of Sports, but definitely sports activities all together as well. But feel free to join the conversation. Want to hear from you. So if you've got any questions for Doctor, feel free down to our social media platforms. Facebook, it's Urban Television. Twitter, the handle is at Urban TV Uganda. Plus the phone lines will be open 014 337 872. Would certainly love to hear from you as the show goes by. But without any further ado, the show starts right now. Dr. Ogwel, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged to be once again in this great platform, Urban TV.
The last time we had the conversation was back at your office. Very insightful as always.
True. I appreciate your support to development of sports in the country. And I know you're great partners of government, doing a lot more in almost all sectors. Yeah. But I feel privileged that you have given sports a portion of your time. And I feel privileged to be here.
Okay, we'll be touching on so many things from sports funding. There's been a big conversation in there. We shall talk facilities as well. One of the key pillars of your time in office. We shall talk governance, among so many key issues that are pertinent to sports altogether. But first things first, it's nearly a year ever since you took office at the National Council of Sports as the General Secretary. I want you to quickly walk us through what the journey has been like so far. And it happens to be that as you are General Secretary, there is the pandemic happening now.
Well, I must first say that sports management of sports, like in any organization, is not that very easy because of the great expectation. Sport is one, I would say, subsector in this country where everybody puts additional high.
That's true.
Because of the love they have, the passion, and the rest. And of course, there are other benefits that stretches across. So it is a big platform and also an area, an industry, which really encompasses many fields in the development spheres. Well, you mentioned about the year that have been in office. Well, I would want to say that it was a big task to be the General Secretary of Council because it is a big job. I never knew that I would be at a point because you need to note that when I joined Council in 2017, I started as the Assistant General Secretary in charge of administration. Right. Of course, I built my understanding based on the workings of council, government, and of course, dealing with the public on one end. Having come from the background of sports, I've been a sports person, you don't need to forget. I've been a sport person. I played football.
Interesting.
And a Nile Special Super League for 2 seasons.
What was
for Pamba?
This position?
Pamba, football.
Yes.
And my score lines are very clear in football.
The numbers, you're a talisman.
I used to play, I'm a left footer, I play, of course, left wing.
Okay.
And but I started as a defender.
Doctor, do you have that pace in the legs?
Well, very much. So basically, I want to get through to what you have hinted as my year in office. Yeah. I want to start by appreciating that one, challenges help us always to move in the right direction. I found challenges of sports, like it is known in this country. We have challenges of funding. Right. I remember when I joined council, the subvention of government to council was at 5 billion, I would say, 5 billion. Remember, 5 billion, this takes care of all cross-cutting issues. And to mention the different cost centers of council budget framework, takes care of major international sports events like Olympics, Commonwealth, African Games, East African Community. That cost center Uganda participate, and a huge budget is expected to prepare athletes, qualify, and present them to the competition. Like Tokyo 2020, you know, if the game was to take place, the minimum budget required for Team Uganda is not less than 4 billion.
Wow.
In the final presentation, leave alone qualifiers. You find their wage and non-wage expenses of council. As a regulator, we have to perform other functions of government, other than sports, as a mandate and as a requirement of public service system of government of Uganda.
Right.
On one end, the principles and possibly the functions of council to promote and develop sports, all forms of sports in Uganda. That becomes the biggest mandate where all these funding is supposed to be absorbed. So you find from that perspective, I want to say that the challenge I found of funding was really very inadequate. And I want to say the year that I've spent, I think has been a blessing that we have seen the funding rise from 5 billion to 25.58 from government subvention releases. Of course, this has boosted council to also change the way of delivery of sports all over the country. You are aware, for the first time, a number of federations have been what we call the niche sports, as defined by council, were able to be on government subvention list. Today you are hearing football getting 10 billion.
Absolutely.
Netball getting 2 billion, athletics getting 1 billion, boxing getting 700. That has not been the case since independence. So to me, lining up federations to be on the government subvention list is a big achievement. That we should not underestimate. Because today, if I picked football, we are now consistent performers and present our teams in the Africa Cup of Nations without any difficulty. Because government has taken care of national team expenses. Athletics, we have broken world records because now the Athletic Federation can put the players in camp, prepare them, present them, pay allowances, pay each and everything required. We have so many world record breakers. To me, those are some of the things I'm proud of. So in summary, I want to say my year, the time I've been in office, of course, the period I acted and as the full General Secretary, I look at issue of improvement in funding. I also look at the issue of delivery of sports, which has increased tremendously. This comes with increase in opening opportunities, participation of youth and our people, the visibility that the sport now, the performance of Uganda outside the borders, internationally, has been great.
Doctor, I want to pick it up from there. You mentioned the 25.5 billion, and some will argue how it's been distributed. Has it been ring-fenced, the 10 billion for football as it is right there? Because it's been a big debate. You've seen boxing coming out time and again. It's been that whole back and forth between yourself and Mohanji regarding funding and whatnot, ghost federations as well. Quickly, for the fans out there, for the viewers, for the benefit of the viewers out there, talk to us about the distribution, the parameters, the funding guidelines.
Well, I would want to start by saying it's not only about boxing. This is a concern for all federations. And for us, as council, one of the major mandates as defined in the Act is that we are supposed to promote and develop all forms of sports. It actually says amateur sports and support through grant and aid to national sports federations. So we are not singling out a particular federation. We are talking about all recognized national sports federation. Indeed, that concern is a concern of council and also my concern. Because to level ground for a sport to get involved strategically in development pathway, you need talent identification, nurturing, development, and also exposure of these athletes. It needs volume of money, resources required. So when you look at what is being given out, cannot meet all those basics. So everybody has a right to complain. That is true. Now, this is a reason why council and government through the sector Ministry of Education and Sports was able to accept our plea for improvement in funding. Now, when this comes, governments at all times have their priorities. And I want to say again that all governments in the world have priorities. Every financial year of government, they look at. Like for now, nothing you can ask from government other than the issue of measures addressing the plight of COVID-19.
That's
That
right.
is priority.
Yes.
Because it is a priority that would make government to really be committed and to the citizens, to the constitution, to protect and to promote development. So in other issue will be secondary. Now in our sports arrangement, we also have priorities. This has not been quite understood by some stakeholders.
Okay.
When we say priority, they think we are saying this particular sport is a priority. But you see, it is about what can we do better. You get me? There are basic areas you can look at. And that's why, in the wisdom of council, we are able to come up with what we call funding guidelines.
Yes.
These funding guidelines have been rolled out. And I want to say briefly what this funding guideline is all about. Takes us to appreciate a number of key factors.
Okay.
One, to help government to delineate all the areas of responsibility and also council in areas that they feel it is important or it has significant impact in the overall sports development. The second one is setting priorities and increasing capacity to support in a systematic way what we think is a niche for Uganda as a country. Like Brazil.
Comparative
you know
advantage.
about comparative advantage.
Yes.
Brazil, you
Football.
go to India, they talk about
Cricket. Yes.
We cannot be an
South
exception.
Africa have rugby.
Rugby.
Ethiopia have
But that
athletics.
does not mean that South Africa only support rugby as a sport. But they give it a priority in terms of attention.
Yes.
And this is what Uganda chose. And I want to also say here that this came from His Excellency the President, guidance to Council on the 2nd of January 2018 at the Locator.
That fits into the priority sports.
This now becomes a presidential directive by way we have to integrate this into our action plans
Okay.
and budget framework papers. Now, today, as I talk, through the Treasury, that is the Ministry of Finance, Plan and Economic Development, we have guidelines or directive to ring fence specific amount of money for sport development.
Exactly.
Of course, me and you tell me football is bigger than all sport in the whole world because of the volume of the monies, the benefits that comes in, and
the numbers.
and also what today, if you tell me about a player playing his trade in the English Premier League,
As we get into a break, Doctor.
yep, you'll see that the volume of the value definitely cannot match with any other sport at the moment.
Okay.
So I think we have to appreciate that this help us definitely at the end of the tunnel to give us a very, very prolific, measure of addressing the concerns of council in terms of prioritization.
Okay.
So this guideline will go a long way to help us advance our interest, our values, and also promote sports excellence.
Okay.
The national sports federations are at the center of all this. We want to work with them to systematically address our concerns, our priorities, and in a phased manner. But we cannot go for all kinds of sport at the same time because the volume of resources are very inadequate.
There you go.
To say the least.
That is Dr. Patrick Ogwel. He's still in here for the next 45 minutes. Also, in case you've got any questions, Urban Television, Facebook, Urban TV Uganda, on Twitter, the phone line will be 014337872. We want to pick as many of your reactions as possible. When you come back after the break, there is a question of facilities. The Mandela National Stadium, Nambole as well, should be up for a facelift, renovation, among so many other different things to bring it up to standards. And when we come back, we'll talk the funding guidelines. There's been a conversation about Ghost Federation, some of the adjustments they've had to make as NCS when we come back after the break. So that and so much more right here on Game On, and it's Fun Friday.
Game on. It's game on. We are big on sports. Big on sports.